Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome to the Select Board meeting of October 19th. First up, minutes of the Select Board meeting of October 5th.
Move to accept.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Hello, my name is Chris Lynch. I'm not sure if you remember, I'm from Matrix Design Group. We've had an item on the town meeting vote as far as broadband is concerned. And one of the things that's been kind of delaying everything is the cost for the town. Matrix will be putting up about 70 to 75% of the overall cost to build the unserved homes in town. The other remaining amount was supposed to come a third from the Northern Borders grant that the Greater Franklin Development Council received, a third from the town, and then a third from the Connect Maine Authority. The Connect Maine Authority, on their last round of grants, we just missed. We were like 2 from getting the money, and we've decided that we don't want to take that risk again, but we're happy to put up that other third. So that the project can move forward. Because we know that the longer people are without broadband, the longer it's just not good. And it really is like a town of halves, with people who have Beeline and people who don't have anything, or they have DSL. So like I said, we're willing to put up the money. What we're asking is that we're going to do another round of grants with Connect Maine. We're going to do other grants that are available. Either Charlie and Brian Lippold, who's the consultant, are going to work on those. But in order to make sure that all the funds are secured, we're willing to to fund it. We would like to get our money back. So what we're proposing is to do a fee on top of the monthly charge for broadband, just for the people who are subscribing. We expect the fee to be $5. We expect it to be less than that, though, because we really feel that with all the money that the state's received for broadband, that we should get the grant the next round. But with so many people getting grants, the quicker you get your pole attachment applications in, the quicker that things will happen, because there is going to be like a roadblock. There's going to be so much traffic of people trying to get their poles attachment rights secured, that we don't want to fall into that that big delay. So the next step for us would be to come to a understanding with the town. So what we did was put together a draft memorandum of understanding. It basically says that we're going to go out there, we're going to solicit people to sign up for service. You guys are going to get the remaining funds, which basically is just to reapply for Connect Maine grants, because you've already approved the other town grants. And this is a not to exceed amount, so it's basically this, everybody's dividing it up a third, a third, and a third. So, sound good?
Yep. Is there the potential, when the grant money comes in, or more ESSER money, however it gets divvied out, that the local cost will actually go down, or?
Yeah, and we're actually hoping that we try to be a good partner. So whatever money comes in, we'll work with you to say, well, how should we use this money? What's the best way to allocate it? Is it to cut the amount that the town is paying down? Is it to cut the amount that the subscriber is paying to get service down? It could be both. You could use part for one and part for another one, but we're willing to work with the town to try to figure that out.
Rhonda?
I don't think we'd actually, at our town meeting vote, we did not actually vote on an amount of money. So we voted for this to move forward, so that will still be coming up, the amount of
I think there
funds.
was a not to exceed, no.
It might have been a not to exceed,
Yeah.
but.
I always get you guys confused with Weld. One was 275,000, one was 314,000 and a couple
Yeah.
other dollars. And I think you guys were the 314.
I'll have to
I was in
look it
hopes
up.
it was the other way. Tim?
So yeah, I do remember that we had in the town vote that it was not to exceed and the funding source to be determined because we were waiting for the legislature to pass, so that way there we can look at with the American Recovery Act and make it, a decision on where the money was gonna come from.
Yeah, and if I could add two quick notes. One is that the Northern Borders grant still has to be approved by the state. They did receive the $1 million, but it was for 6 towns and 2 towns have dropped off, so now it's just 4. But 2 of the towns that dropped off were smaller towns, so, so I don't think that the amount that you guys should be getting should change. And I think once that's approved, that's kind of like a set amount. But if we apply for a larger amount through Connect Maine, or if we apply for larger grants elsewhere, the amount that the town has can obviously come down. But I believe it was a not to exceed amount, so we're going with that.
Keith, you had a question? No?
And I know I'm not on the agenda, so I just wanted to come here, drop this off, let you guys know that we're still working on it, and there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes, because I'm not sure if you guys go, what happened with the broadband? I want to make sure that you knew that, we're still very interested. We're actually very interested to see what Beeline's gonna do, with their upgrade, and kind of go from there. I did bring copies of the memorandum of understanding. I'd be happy to set up another time to come back when I am on the agenda to go through this. And I can also get you a digital copy of this if you wanted to share it with the town attorney or whoever needs to look at it.
Okay. Probably a digital copy would be good to the
Yeah.
town manager.
But at least this way you have one to look at
Yes,
today.
please and thank you.
And I happen to bring exactly 5. So I'll put it there and let it go around. And then, like I said, I'm more than happy to come back and we can go from there.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment?
Thank you.
Representative Hall?
I'm here to fill in for Senator Black and Representative Landry. I don't know if you want to take that up now, or
It's coming up.
I'll wait until...
We got one more
on
in
the agenda.
between.
Well, let's go ahead.
Okay. Seeing no other public comment. Proposed marijuana fees.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Public comment and consideration.
So, there's really no changes on the proposed marijuana fees from what you discussed at the last meeting. I did add on here, David, you had some extra, I put that on the bottom of that spreadsheet. You had 2 different ones. Of course, I made it so big. Okay, retail, you took an average of Farmington J and Wilton, but down here you took an average of Eustis, Farmington J, and Wilton. Of retail, manufacturing, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. One of the things, couple things I just wanted to bring up, and Charlie, get me if I forgot anything. At this point, we believe that these categories right here will still be the best categories for us. Within it, marijuana keeps changing so much. It changes at the state so much that we do an ordinance, and then 2 months later, we're a little bit outdated on some of it. But for cultivation, under a medical marijuana retail for a caregiver, a Tier 1, which goes to up to 500 square feet, this is basically where they're going to be. So if you've got a retail medical marijuana store and they're doing their own growing at their site, which is not at their home, this is where they would fit in. You go to tiers 2, 3, and 4, any growers for adult use would fit into these, and I'll bring back up the square footage. And for medical marijuana, if they go with what is now another category at the state, which is called dispensary, which they just came out with new forms and new everything in August, and our meeting to update our ordinance was in June, then they would fit in under the tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. Yep. One of the questions you had at the last one, I know John had brought it up, and I met with John quite a bit yesterday, was regarding should we be registering our home caregivers. I don't remember if there was anybody else. Our ordinance specifically does say that, not right out there, under medical marijuana, medical marijuana cultivation facility means a facility licensed under this ordinance to cultivate, prepare, and package medical marijuana at a location that is not the residence of the registered caregiver or qualifying patient. So if you have somebody that is growing it at home for their own patients at their home, it's not included in our ordinance. And at this time, we've kind of felt that to put that out there and say that every registered caregiver that's doing this at their home, come in and pay us $250 or $500. We don't know who they are because the state will only tell you how many they have, but they will not tell you who they are. So we can put that in there, and you can hope that you might get some, but we can't go after them because we don't know who they are.
It's not in our ordinance.
And it's not in our ordinance.
Keith?
Charlie said that last time, it's not our ordinance. I do believe it should be. I believe any store, whether it's in your home or not, should be paying to be licensed. And if I want to sell something out of my house, you don't know if I'm selling it or not unless I come in and get a permit. So it's not, this business isn't any different than any other. But I think any business that is a store, whether it's in your house or not in your house, should be licensed as such.
Except that they're not licensed as a store by the state.
But they're, in the town of Wilton, they're selling a product to another person.
Can you just clarify and read that back? Because the way that I just heard that is that they are cultivating marijuana as a home caregiver for somebody in their house. They're not selling it to somebody else. The person would need to be cultivating for a resident at that house, or did I
No.
just hear it wrong? I just want to make sure.
So a medical marijuana cultivation facility means a facility licensed under this ordinance to cultivate, prepare, and package medical marijuana at a location that is not the residence of the registered caregiver or qualifying patient.
Okay.
That is not.
Not.
So if you take, we have like 4 stores located out on Route 2, and if any of them, and one of them right now, at the moment, is under this because they are cultivating there. It's not their home, so they are part of this.
I just heard it wrong. Thank
Now,
you.
the state, to kind of go where you are, the state did, as John said, he's on that temporary committee to be looking at this. It will make it a lot easier on us that once the state changes some of those laws to open it up so that we know who they are. Then, you put it in your ordinance and you'll be able to get them. Now, the other thing too, if you're a medical marijuana caregiver or even a store owner, you are entitled to have some anonymity, and don't say that word right, which means that, say you are, I'm not going to say store, but say you're cultivating on site where your store is, and you may have some growers in there. Any of your growers for medical marijuana, we block out their name. You don't make that public. They have not asked for that to be made private, but the law allows for them to be made private. So you wouldn't know who they are. We can't release that out. That's under the medical. We haven't done that yet because we haven't had anybody that says, I don't want anybody, I'm getting my license through planning board and through here, but I want to go under the state laws and not have my name out there. And I suspect we will have some in the future that do that. Even the stores, which kind of in a way doesn't make a lot of sense because the stores are there, but if the owners might not want that, and that's the way the law reads, you don't put their name out there. You would still vote on it, but without their names there. So until some of the laws change, like for the home ones, they're pretty protected right now. We just don't know who they are. And that may change with this new working group for some of those things. It may or may not.
Any comment?
Did I get that right, Charlie? Good.
Seeing none, the pleasure of the board.
Tell me on here where you would like me to go and make it easier for you.
Well, I think we had decided at the last meeting, we were just gonna use the Farmington J and Wilton average, not the Eustis. So that one there.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the amounts as listed here for the Farmington J Wilton average.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions?
Couldn't we round them to a number that, looks a little prettier?
Averages are averages.
Yeah, no, I know, it just looks weird.
It will keep people on their toes when they're writing the check. For me, it was just simple to say, in our living area, let's be average.
Just to bother Keith, can we take away 3 cents from each number?
Those dollars.
I know, I want to take away 3 cents, so it's not. Just to mess
It
with
really
Keith.
Well, probably if you remove that rounding, you would get some sense in there, so. Any other comments? All those in favor of Tiffany's motion? It's unanimous. Next up, information regarding Franklin County referendum question number 2 with Representative Hall.
Yes, Representative Landry had another meeting tonight in New Sharon, and we're not sure where Representative Black is. He's somewhere between here and South Dakota on a bird hunting trip. So anyways, you're stuck with me. Back about 3 years ago, in the 129th, it was brought up, and I believe it was Representative Tina Riley from down in Jay brought up about, put a bill in to change the Franklin County Commissioners from 3 to 5. And at the time, she had a lot of support, but it died because of the way the wording was done in the legislature, so it didn't actually pass. This time it did, so that's why it's on the ballot. The reason it's been brought up is because it's been brought to our attention that there are certain areas in the county that aren't being properly represented. You've got, I wanted to say 60% of your revenue from the county is coming out of northern Franklin County, which would be Rangeley, Stratton, Eustis, Carabasset, and they're only represented by one person on the board, and that particular person didn't feel that they was having a fair shake, because if you get with 3 people on the board, you get 2 together and they can kind of control things. So anyway, it did pass, and what is proposed, and it's going to be on the vote in November, is a 5-district, 5-member board of different districts. Farmington would be 1 district within itself. Chesterville and Jay would have their own district. Wilton would be in a district with Wilton, Temple, Phillips, and Avon. And then you'd have the rest of Franklin County, which would be northern Franklin County, would have a representation. So I guess what I'm here is just to kind of answer any questions, if anyone had any questions on why and what this was all about. Last night in New Vineyard, the question was brought up about what this is going to cost, and we did a little research on it. The 3 board members right now receive $12,000 apiece for the whole year. They meet 2 times a month, so they're 24 meetings, and they're getting $12,000. In this past summer, in the budget, the county budget was put out. It was going to cut the county commissioners back to $6,000, which still, if you figure it out per meeting, is still some good sum of money. And the county commissioners voted that down and left it at $12,000. So what has been proposed is that if you have 5, you still take the $36,000 that's getting paid, but split it 5 ways instead of 3. Now, I don't know if that will happen or not, because basically the county commissioners can vote in whatever they decide for amount. But this is what's being proposed at this time. It's on the November ballot, so, anyone got any questions?
I have a comment. I fully support this, being on the budget committee for, I think it's gonna be my 5th or 6th year, in that it would solve a lot of difficulties and problems, especially looking at where you have an inadvertent quorum. I mean, just having 2 commissioners talk is a quorum,
Exactly.
which is a public meeting, and so that doesn't allow, any,
Right, if they met on the street, say at Walmart parking lot, that could be considered, if they was talking politics, that could be considered a meeting.
And also, I believe that the better representation will bring a greater dialogue, where if somebody is sick or out, you have 2 people, it doesn't really bring the diverse perspectives, and so I fully support this, and thank you for coming.
One thing that we did find is that, I wanted to say there might be one other county in the state that only has 3 county commissioners, and don't hold me to it, but it could be, I think it was like Hancock or Lincoln, but I'm not sure on that, but everybody else has 5, just for that simple reason, to just kind of spread things out.
Covers better geography.
It does, and right now, the last census, there was approximately 30,000 people in Franklin County, so with a three-member board, each one is representing about 10,000. This way here is gonna cut it back, so each one is just gonna be just shy of 6,000.
I will say, I looked at the redistricting map, and I like how it's split up, and it gives, a representation of
Yeah.
a little bit of rural and some, except for Farmington, which is its own.
Right,
so-
but you really couldn't split, unless you split the town of Farmington up, there was no other way to do that.
So thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming in.
I got another meeting, so I gotta split, but.
Thank you.
All
Thanks.
right, thanks.
Next up, appointment of appeals board member.
This appeals board member has been a member of the appeals board. We have not had a meeting for a few years. And in doing the annual appeals, I did miss it 2 years ago, and we haven't had an appeals board meeting since then, so she hasn't been on it illegally. So this is to get paperwork caught up for Maxine Collins.
I make a motion that we approve Maxine Collins, the appeals board member.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comment? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous.
Pass them on.
Is this just a signature?
Yeah, signatures, you can do that after the meeting.
Okay. Next up, consideration of events coordinator job description.
This I had, a couple meeting ago or so, that I was doing the job description, got it out there for you to take and review initially. First of all, I wanted to say, wasn't sure the best way to put it down what the position would be, but it's not a position somebody's going to come in and work X number of hours per week. A lot of it's going to be dependent upon working on various events. I mean, of course, the main event would be Blueberry Festival, but there are also some other events. I just had it suggested yesterday to me that there's some people that would like to see an expanded Halloween events along with Brewfest type activities. There's been others. The Christmas one we've talked about, back to the summer barbecue that had been held at Kinyawaka Park. So that's why I put it down part-time, intermittent. and kind of looking at an annual appointment right now, just in case, wanting to see how it goes from year to year, and of course that could always be changed in the future. So basically the position would report to the Parks and Recreation Director and to the Town Manager, with their Recreation Committee as their main guidance person, committee, but other committees that they would report to if we may not necessarily have all these committees, but if there was an external Blueberry Festival committee, events or committee, Wilton Group, any other special committees that may just focus on one particular event, volunteers, Chamber of Commerce, community member, business contacts, town office, public works, police, fire, and vendors. And then it went through the, different major responsibilities, etc.
Keith?
If this were a full-time job, this would be, what, 50,000 a year or better? I'm just reading this piece here, it looks like, holy cow, this is gonna be a pretty expensive.
I don't think that it would need to be, anything near like that. It would be more focused upon the individual events. And again, I'm thinking right now, at the moment, and there may be others that come up, one, getting out there and starting with the Blueberry Festival. There will probably be some Christmas activities for a Christmas one, so that would be a second one. A third one may be a summer barbecue at Kineawatha Park, and then of course you're going right into the Blueberry Festival, and then a fall one. There may be additional ones. I know David spoke of something coming up, but it's not, I had it down before, Frank,
What's that?
how many hours that I thought that this might be.
Well, the original one I saw was 800 hours. And I
Yeah,
thought that was a little much, depending on what you make it into
okay.
for a job.
I don't think it would need to be anything like that.
So, two comments. One, at the very top where we put intermittent,
Mhm.
I would think maybe a suggestion would be that it would be seasonal hours. Intermittent sounds like you
I
may
know.
not have any,
I didn't like that word.
So,
Okay.
and then I made a comment further on down where it talks about administrative. If you scroll to the right, you'll be able to see my comment. Is I just think that this person may also want to perform budget reconciliation of the events with whoever at the town office, whether it's the treasurer or, but they should have that responsibility
Should be,
if they're also paying the expenses out, making sure at the end that it reconciles.
And so I just added that
Great,
right there at the end.
thank you.
Okay.
Comments?
Happy with it?
Keith?
I just, do you have a thought on per hour? Just looking at your qualifications, I assume this is gonna be,
So we had originally at one of our other meetings talked about a couple things. I know I'd thrown out the 800. That does seem like it could be very high for what some of the things are, without really knowing.
Might not.
It might not, without really knowing how much the Blueberry Festival might take up as far as hours. What's going to make things succeed is if this person works with other committees and it is not a one-person job. By splitting it up as we did with the Blueberry Festival this past year, focusing on this person has these things that they focus on, this person has this, it makes it much easier. I threw out a number of $18 an hour a few meetings ago. And I also put out there that we may, and we would have to have a special town meeting for this, take the funding for this year out of the tax increment financing because of the fact that it would also entail public economic development, by trying to get people into town. And a lot of these activities, events that I just listed, that's exactly what has happened with them or what we foresee happening with them. So that would be to start that before we start putting in a budget some through the town and start creating budgets through sponsorships also. So I did put out $18 an hour. Certainly would probably put that original number down quite a bit and to stay within those parameters, and come back to you with a warrant article for a special town meeting for taking the funding out of the tax increment financing, and to go from there and hire a person. Sound okay?
I don't think you're gonna hire anybody with those qualifications for $18 an hour. But I hear what you're telling me.
Yeah, I think so. I know that part of it, there was one particular, where did we put it? I know, like, for example, post-secondary diploma preferred but not required, and 2 years experience is preferable. So it's like not hard in there. So it's like, yeah, that's preferable, but maybe not, and there's other things that could go in its
In a
place.
perfect world, that's what you
In
want.
a perfect world, exactly, yeah.
You know, I think this exactly saying from the tax incremental financing district is that this is an investment, and I'm not quite sure, as Keith said, that 18 is the number that I went out and looked at similar coordinators and event coordinators, and typically they're between $20 and $25 an hour. And
So we can,
I would think that's the range that would attract somebody of the quality and caliber. These type of events are really what drives people to come into town, and energizes the community and the businesses as well, and is really bringing in revenue. So I really want to. I don't want to shortchange it by a couple bucks an hour. I'd like to see an event coordinator and get the most qualified person that can hopefully do a really good job.
Right,
So my 2 cents worth is, I think we can find somebody for 18 easy enough. I know one individual qualified, it may be more, I don't think it's too early to throw names out there, but I know an individual I think I'd be very comfortable working with that would do it for that in a heartbeat, so. And there may be better candidates out there that would want more or whatever. but I'm
well,
just-
I think initially, from my perspective, is starting out, you may end up at 18,
Yeah,
but let's not commit to that.
right.
Let's give ourselves flexibility to get the best candidate for the position.
Right, but I think worst case scenario, if this person took it, would be happy. If there's better candidates and pay them a little more, so be it, but.
Yeah, to clarify, I'm not saying that it should be 20. What I'm saying is that it should be like a range when I say 20
Range.
to 25. So it could be 18 to 22, just to give that flexibility. If all of a sudden you have there might be somebody out there that is very qualified that would apply today. But if we get 6 or 7 candidates, and you see a superstar that all of a sudden shows up, but they're gonna need that 22.
Yeah.
That's just my suggestion, is to have a range.
I was just going to say that in the past, we've done a lot of these events. For example, Betty Scheibel started us all off on it. Events committee would try to pick up some of these things. They were great, they were wonderful. People got burnt out really fast by volunteering, and it fizzled out. Other people would come in, we tried to start it back up. You need that person that can head it up. Again, people on the committee to help out, but you need that person to start to head it up.
Don't disagree. Any other comments? The will of the board.
It's approving this.
I know, I'm asking.
I just weren't sure which way you think.
Yes.
Sure which.
I make a motion to approve the Wilton Events Coordinator with the additions that we spoke about. For $18 to $22 an hour range.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous.
I think what I'll do is I'll come back to you at the next meeting with warrant articles, special town meeting info, to be able to move, to be able to get the funding. I hate to hire somebody without having the funding in place.
Well, I guess my thought would be is if you wanted to get moving forward, you could advertise pending approval from a special town meeting. And that way there, it's not slowing up the process any.
Can do that.
Recreation Department report.
Okay. Good place to be to thaw out. We just had an exciting, as Phil can tell you, first round playoff game. The last place team knocked off the first place team.
Nice.
Technically, well, two teams tied for first, and this team came in out of last, but hadn't won a game all year, and they won 3-2 tonight. It definitely feels like soccer season, so everybody was happy to be down and get out of there, and I said, well, I'm gonna go thaw out, so. So we did get it off and running. I said the older level, the younger levels were all done. As you see here on that one, we wrapped up the kindergarten and the minors. This is a major league level, so Thursday night would be our championship game. No issues really throughout the year. We had 3 or 4 people that had to quarantine. Nobody came down positive with COVID, but they were close contacts, other than maybe 5, I think, all year. So that was fairly quiet, which we weren't sure how that would go. We've started back in the gym. They've given us the okay to use it. Kindergarten basketball is going. I've got to sign up next week for 1st to 3rd grade program, and then travel basketball is a little dicier because you start involving other towns. And right now, Sad 9 saying, yep, we can go for it, but some of that's a little, touchy right now. But the thought is moving forward, so we'll at least do tryouts to see what the interest level is there. Again, as you see on the number 2, DeKalb Gymnastics wants to come back, but they're not just sure on a date yet. But we're moving back in the direction of bringing back stuff we used to do. And like I say, under the grounds project stuff, the dugouts are in and painted, and the first time we've had that kind of a situation there since before I got there. So that looks good. Still haven't got the slides in. The guy's supposed to be up this week to take some measures. We got to adapt them. We're taking out the 2 metal slides that are on that big playground, putting in a couple of plastic ones. We bought them a year ago, and he's been putting me off basically all summer. And I told him, look, I said, I want to get them in. I didn't care so much that they weren't in over the summer, as busy as we were, but right now it's quiet. And to get those in when it's downtime would be good. So hope to have those in, within the next couple of weeks. He's got to come up, and we're adapting those ones to wooden frame, and so we've got to come up, do some measurement, come up with a bracket, because it isn't meant to hook on to that type of material. So it shouldn't be a big deal. Just get some measurements, get it on there, and then he'll come back and we'll put it in. I guess under number 5, I'll add a piece there with the picnic table deal. Like I say, brand new picnic table. They couldn't have taken an old one. We were ready to replace, and then sometime over the weekend here, Sunday I'm guessing, because we had a group in the reunion barn. Somebody tried to break into the back of the reunion building, broke the padlock off, broke into the section that the Lions Club uses, busted some windows on the back side, so no major amount of money, just more of a pain in the butt and a nuisance to take care of, but we're gonna do that. Probably gonna look into getting, the last 2 summers have been a challenge there. We've had our times with a lot of vandalism and times not so much, but I think we're gonna get a couple of game camera type deals. They say now you can get them to go right to your phone and that sort of thing, and we can kind of keep an eye on things. And out there, you don't need wiring and that sort of thing, so I think that'll be the deal. Beach should be quiet, usually is in the wintertime, even on the bad years, it's quiet through the winter months. So I'm thinking come spring, when mischief makers start coming back around, we'll have a couple of cameras up. But there's more, like I said, more of a nuisance. Under the last one there with the disc golf thing, just so you know, we gave Charlie, usually it's quite often it's coaches that get our Volunteer of the Year award. But we've had others get it. We gave it to Charlie this year, and that's over the course. His name right there, you go. And that's the award right there in the middle. And it was good. We were gonna do it during the Blueberry Festival, and we just got busy one thing and another. I'm glad we didn't wait much longer, because he is actually at home and with hospice, and they don't give him a month to maybe 6 weeks. I mean, at the Blueberry Festival, he was demonstrating and doing that sort of thing, and here he is now in tough shape. But he was aware of what was going on when I gave him the award. Right now, I went over and saw him this past Sunday, and he had really lost ground in the 2 or 3 weeks since I gave him the award, so really pleased that we got it out to him when we did. Other than that, like I said, we're just gonna keep going with the fall cleanup. We've already hauled out 5 pickup loads and more to come down, but we usually haul between 25 and 35 loads every fall out of there, so that's a lot of work. But we're full bore into that.
Questions for Frank?
Now, the crafter thing went wrong, but that's something new we're trying this year. Renee's leading out in that endeavor, and the last time I checked with her, she had somewhere around 14 to 18 vendors signed up for that, so.
And then there are a few more of the Halloween week events coming up.
She's basically got something scheduled for each day of the week. And I told her with the scarecrows going down there at McGillicuddy Park, police probably will want to patrol a little more often, because I'll almost guarantee you that's going to be a magnet for our mischief makers. And then on Halloween, there's going to be, the plan is to put pumpkins out on the stone wall there at Kenny and Watha and have them lit up and that sort of thing. And I told her the same thing, those will have to come out of there that night, or they'll be in the road. So. But people seem to be interested, they're signing up, they're asking a lot of questions and stuff, so I think people are looking forward to it.
One more, do you want to just touch on the music at the park? How that went?
Yeah, this was our 4th summer with a concert at the park, and having a Facebook page for people now looking for it more regularly. The numbers were pretty good this year, best of the 4 years we've been there, no question. And got I think we had 6 different groups that came in, and some of them came back twice, but we went June, July, and August, so people are looking forward to it, they're liking it. The average turnout's probably 25, maybe as much as 35, but we've had a couple of the better, more popular groups. I think we were up, I counted 60 something there a couple nights, so yeah. Anything more than that would be a problem as far as parking goes and stuff like that. There's plenty of room in the park, but the parking itself was a challenge, but on a couple nights.
Keith?
Yeah, about that parking, I know I had received some complaints I had forwarded. Did we address that in any way for the handicapped?
We went down and looked at it, John and I. I don't know if the problem is it was getting late for this year, but we did go down and looked at how we can make that pathway better. We were supposed to get a sign, so that we had another sign there, but we're looking at improving that parking lot too. We couldn't use the particular road pavers for that because it was a different setup. So we did go up there, the 2 of us, right after that and looked at it. I think we briefly talked to you about it, but we'll have to meet
After you
again.
talked with me, I went down and talked with John, and he said it was on his agenda, but, because he's still got a few weeks here, and then just because it's cold tonight doesn't mean everything's gonna close up shop, but he had it on his agenda to at least do part of it, because he was talking about actually paving the parking lot as well, but, at some point, but, I think he still has thoughts of trying to get down there if the weather cooperates to do at least the, pathway. That's what you're mostly concerned about, right? I mean, from the parking lot down to the gazebo.
No, there were people blocking the wheelchair vehicles so that they couldn't get in and out of their
Oh, I see.
vehicles.
Okay, yeah, no, we've had several people ask about, a little better slope to that, to get up from the gazebo back and forth.
I'm sure that would be helpful, but
Yeah.
the complaints I received were people boxing them in so they couldn't
Get down the pathway.
couldn't either get out of their vehicle or couldn't get back into it when they were
Yeah,
ready to leave.
Yeah, no, I've not had any of those complaints, but,
Yeah, I think don't we have one sign down
yeah,
there?
there's a sign down there, one of the first spot is,
Right.
And there's a little bit of a gap there where some actually can drive a vehicle down there, and actually a lot of the performers will drive their vehicle down to the gazebo to unload all their equipment, come back out. So far, that's worked. I've been a little concerned that some others might choose to do that on their own, with their own vehicles and drive down in there, but that hasn't been an issue so far.
Make a motion to accept his report.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. Any questions?
Just one comment, I just wanna say, we're wrapping up this season here, and I think you and your staff have done an outstanding job, really. So, thank
Been a
you.
good year. We had a few more activities than normal, and we've had more mischief makers than normals, made life interesting, but, yeah, no, it's been a good summer.
Nice job.
Thank you. All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
You thawed out?
Go get warm.
I'm getting there.
Managers report.
I just want to remind everybody that our next meeting on November 2nd, which is voting day, will be held at the fire station at 6 p.m. You'll have a report that night from Highway Department. We already did the fire department. And voting will be here that day. We already, voting hours are already set for this particular one, so you don't need to do anything there. I also wanted to say this Gilbert Street South project is kind of out of our hands. It's moving slowly. It's still moving. The homeowner has been nothing but so much cooperative and doing her best from day one back in July, August on trying to get her situation taken care of and doing everything in her power that she can to get her situation taken care of. Still working very closely with Western Maine Community Action, and they are just trying to overcome some obstacles that have been put in their way, and hopefully that we'll see a good resolution coming up in the next few weeks. I think that's all I have. Like I said, Highway Department will have a lot to report on because they are finishing up paving. The paving crews will be here again Tuesday, Wednesday, and he's hoping on Friday for some additional roads that they weren't able to finish a few weeks ago, and that they're hoping to get whatever they can't finish now, they'll come back in the spring because they're in great demand among a number of towns and everything. They'll hold to our price if they cannot do it in the next few days. And I think that's all I have at the moment.
Any other business?
I'll
See,
make a motion, we adjourn.
it's been moved.
Second.
Just want to say.
Comments?
Can't have any.
It's non-debatable.
Doesn't mean much sometimes. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a good evening, all.